This week, the Sticker Shop Show sat down with legendary motocross photographer, Mr. Paul Buckley. Actually, it was many years ago that we did this, and we originally did it on Facebook Live. We had viewers send in questions to ask him, and we had some of our own. We asked him,
what was the most money you ever paid for one picture? Or is that
one picture? The last time I tried to do video was with a Sony Handycam in 1984.
Oh my God, I'm trying to be the leader. Yeah. What's the wildest what's the wildest after race photo shoot that you can talk about? Is there anything about, like, you ever been to like a national and they're like, get the camera in here, you gotta come over? So there's definitely been some wild after race photo shoots then.
Yeah, I don't know if I can mention names, but it was like the 1995 Atlanta Supercross. The Yamaha semi was over in the corner.
Right.
And there was a ton of people around the back door. I'm like, oh, they swapped.
did he put her stuff on after?
And the guy she turned down was, a Supercross champion, an outdoor champion, and he was totally busted that day when she said, wow. No, I don't want yours. So.
I made this question up, but is two-stroke versus four-stroke? You know how that is with motocross guys. Is that the same as film? Is there a whole film versus digital in the photo community? That's like,
you must really enjoy what you do still, then, right?
I still do.
Like outdoors better than Supercross.
I like photos? Outdoors much better.
Like the electric dirt bike that I need to get on the design board. First of all, they're making the whole dirt bike based on a gas engine. Like. The whole layout could be changed. I feel like the whole layout could be changed.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sticker Shop. We're set up live in
Paul Buckley's darkroom from 1999.
Yep.
Sorry for the chemical smell, guys.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
Someone's working.
For everyone out there that doesn't know what a darkroom is, that's where pictures came from before they were digital.
Yeah, there's some of his old staff in the background there.
Somebody's got to make the photos.
No, this isn't what your darkroom looked like. Yours was smaller.
Mine was way smaller. This is what it looked like back in the art school days when I would use the Art Institute of Boston's darkroom and, make my first few thousand motocross photos. And then I built one at my mother's basement back when I was, 20.
Oh, wow.
Huh. And when you did your own for the races, you could only do the 8x10s. Is that the biggest you could do, or whatever, the 10, whatever?
No, in my basement darkroom, I could make 16x20s.
And then anything else bigger, you would sub out to someone else.
Send out.
Huh.
Okay.
What got you started in taking pictures? Did you start with taking motocross pictures, or was it something else?
It was basically started motocross photos. I'd mess around with a few other things, but kind of the way it got started was my dad was killed in a car crash when I was 13. They had like 4 little sisters, and my mom said, let's get you guys out of the city of Peabody for the summer. We'll buy a little camp in Maine. So we did. We bought a little camp in Limerick, Maine, which is the next town over from Waterboro, Maine.
Oh.
So that was in 1970. So we're, driving up and down from Peabody to Waterboro every weekend or something. And everybody around the lake where we had our camp had mini bikes. We had a CT70, Honda CT70.
Yeah.
So I'd go to King's Rook, which is now Cycles 128, to buy parts and stuff when I broke stuff. And I got Cycle Sport magazine, and I saw Waterboro Motocross, opening 1973.
Oh, yeah.
So I went, and I took a couple of photos with a little Instamatic and didn't show anybody. And then went to art school after high school and took a photography class, which was like, here's a camera, this is how it works, this is how you develop photos.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the races at Waterboro, and I'd shoot some photos. And by that time, I had a 175 Yamaha.
So were you racing at all?
No, I was just trail riding and going to the races just for the fun to shoot photos.
Yeah.
So I'd bring the photos to the guys at King's Rook who rode, which was like Bobby Mayhouse and Ricky Hicks, Dave Brillant. Actually, Carl Dakota Sr. was kind of hanging out there.
Oh.
Ralph Eldridge and Lou Balboni there. That was like the crew there. And after a while, they said, "Hey, you should sell these." I'm like, "Who'd buy these?"
Right.
And they said, "We'd buy them all. We'd buy every photo you brought over."
Wow.
And they did. I could show up to those guys like the next week with 8 photos of each one. They go, "We'll take them."
Oh, wow.
So that kind of got the ball rolling. You know?
Yeah.
I never knew any of that.
Were you the?
That's why I came today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I asked you before. You're like, oh yeah, I decided to go to a race, take a picture once, and I didn't know you were a Maine native.
I'm not a Maine native.
Oh, I didn't know you were there. Like,
yeah,
Maine
right down the road
right from me.
practically.
Yeah,
And then
that's
I didn't know
wild.
you were a Peabodyian.
Yeah.
Right from Jimmystown.
He went to the same high school as I did.
Yeah, the same one we
Wow.
blew the fireworks off behind the bleachers not that long ago.
I guess.
That's amazing.
I guess.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
So you were using that same Instamatic camera? Was that what it was, or did you have a different one then?
Let's see. So by the time I was showing the guys at King's Rook, I was using my uncle's Zeiss Icon rangefinder camera, which was the most manual camera you could get. It had one window for a viewfinder to focus, and then you would read the distance off of that scale and set the lens distance. And then you'd have to cock the shutter.
For each picture?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like loading a gun.
It's amazing.
Advance the film.
That makes the older pictures even more amazing. And you know, like
Yeah.
I know there's more to it than just pushing a button, but that just like that's so crazy.
It was. But back then it wasn't like I had already experienced the
Right. That's just
the
how it
autofocus,
was. Yeah.
auto exposure, digital monsters that we have today. And luckily I could do a good job with all that manual stuff.
That's just amazing to take action photos with all that you had to do. Like
Yeah,
That's what made you a professional back then. You could've
yeah,
that's
like,
right.
Now anyone with a decent eye or unlimited memory can
Right.
hold the button down and pray.
Right. Somebody
spray
who
and
takes
pray.
2,000 photos on a Sunday is probably going to get a few good shots.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. They buy as many photos you could get. That's what you need still today. I'm bringing 5,000 photos this week, and all 5,000 will be sold.
I used to buy. I think I bought every one that I saw that you made of me.
I think you did.
Pretty close to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then to this day, there are still some guys who just come over and say, print them.
Right. They want them all.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
even looking, and they'll just buy them.
Yeah.
And these days, of course, they get them the same day.
Yeah. That's cool.
So what I used to do, maybe some people definitely know that are watching, but I would shoot photos one Sunday, develop them on spec during the week,
Yeah.
and then bring them back the next Sunday.
Yeah. That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guys who remember that would tell me that was the best part of Sunday morning,
Yeah.
was coming over to either my truck or me coming over to their pits. Because when I first started, I didn't have that many photos.
Right.
So I would walk around the pits with
wow.
a couple boxes of 8x10s and a box of posters, and I'd walk up and say, "Hey, Tim, I got this shot of you from Pepperell last week," or, "Hey,
Yeah.
Danny, here's one from,"
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Whatever.
That was the first thing I did was walk to see if you had any pictures of me before I even signed up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was always fun.
I hope I had some.
Most of the time, yeah. And that when I had that fire and lost like almost literally everything I owned,
Yeah.
the pictures were the biggest bummer because like I can't replace them.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they were probably mostly filmed.
Yeah, I think.
Paul tossed the negatives.
Yeah,
I did.
Did you actually save them all for a while or no?
there's no way
Yeah.
you could save
I-
like.
had a bunch,
Right.
Yeah.
but it was just like boxes and boxes and stacks of negatives.
Yeah, I'm sure it would get to be insane.
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
And plus, searching through tons and tons of negatives is kind of like looking for a needle in a needle stack.
Yeah, because I don't even know how you'd have to look through them physically,
Right.
and then
Right.
have to look at the negative physically. Unless you labeled every, it would just be crazy to. Try
Jack
to
said he
find
had Jack said he had folders for every rider. That's what he commented.
Eventually, it got to a point where I had.
I remember that.
so many
a number
fold.
range.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it a number range?
Well, I remember when.
Yeah.
I remember I'd
Yeah.
you walk up and say 169,
And I'd flip through.
yeah,
That was after a few years when I had like a lot of photos.
yeah.
But when I first started, I would carry around 2 boxes about this big with prints in them and just go from pit area to pit area.
Wow. So
I
would
remember-
you still take pictures in practice back then? Because that
No.
must have taken a while to go around.
Let's see, back then I would walk around in the morning, maybe not shoot practice, or maybe actually probably what I would do is shoot some practice, just because guys even back then would still, like throw some whips or
Right.
do some cross-ups before whips were popular,
Right.
before scrubs
Yeah.
were popular.
And everyone would be nice and clean.
Everybody would be nice and clean, and the light was nice.
Oh yeah,
The
morning
light in the morning is nice.
Yeah.
So then at about 10 o'clock, I would come in and start walking around for a little bit because the light would be kind of harsh.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, I'd go back out again when the light was nice,
Yeah.
and shoot some more. So, which I kind of miss doing that these days, because the way it works now is I'll shoot practice and then maybe the first 8 or 10 motos,
And then you're back selling them.
and then I'm back. I have to get all the photos downloaded,
Oh yeah.
and I have to number each photo one at a time with the bike number,
Yeah.
so the software can find them
Oh yeah.
when somebody comes over and says, "Hey, let's see the 99s."
Right. So,
Yeah.
and you don't employ the young staff like in the good old days. I remember Anne Marie or Jackie Benjamino would work.
Oh yeah,
I think they worked for Pierre too, right?
yeah,
They would
yeah.
go back
Because
and forth.
Pierre and I parked next to each other pretty much all the time, and
Was it like a battle between you and him out there? Like you'd be like, "Damn it, he's at the double." That's what I wanted to get to.
Turf wars.
sometimes it was, but if the spot was good enough, like a good enough spot on the track,
Right.
we would both just shoot there from like a different angle.
Yeah.
Did you ever see like a guy endo and he's clicking away and you're like, "I missed it. That could have been my shot," or anything like that? Maybe.
Maybe
Right.
yeah. I've never been a big fan of crash photos.
Yeah.
Just because like you guys are all my friends, so
Well, if I crash, I at least hope there's a damn photo of it.
I know the only
looks
photo
like-
that I got like in a magazine and stuff is a crash
Yeah,
photo,
right
but I'm
there.
not.
That's the race. Was that Racer X, right?
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of crash photos either.
Look, if it looks
Yeah.
like I'm going down, I want a photo of it. Like that's a
I-
definite. I'm coming up and buying that.
well, as long as you can walk back up and buy it,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have wanted crash photos too to try and figure out why.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can see why you don't like taking them.
Right.
Yeah.
What about? I got these list of questions, so I'll try to get a couple of them here. We already got the how did he start? Do you have
Right.
any black room jokes? Like dark room
Black
jokes? dark room
Jeez.
dark room jokes. Like like you'd go in and someone would leave like a negative to like develop. Anything happen like that when you're in school. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
like
is there-
someone would take a
What-
picture of something strange.
yeah, and like you're like, "Oh, what's this?" And you put it in the
Ah.
solution. It's like an alien with 3 heads. So there was no dark room jokes that you can think of.
Boy, not really, because I think I only used the school dark room for.
Like you didn't leave a negative that said like, "Help, I'm stuck in this closet." And, like I've got the photo here and like hope someone developed it.
I haven't been stuck in too many closets, so no. And then I was alone in my own dark room, so
That would have been a good time to put one in your dark room.
And make a joke on
Yeah,
myself.
Like, I'm watching you, and it's like a picture of you in the dark room. You're like,
Yeah.
who the hell took this? All right, what's your favorite track? I mean, I know you don't ride on them, but like, is there any place that you shoot that you're like, or, you know, could be closed down? I know every track that's closed down is Jack's favorite track. But
Yeah. Mine, I don't know. There's something I like about almost every track.
right,
It's kind of like asking, what's your favorite kid?
right, yeah,
I mean, it kind of is, you know. It's a tough question. I mean, like at Southwick, every corner's a good corner. Everybody's going to look like a hero going through.
Well, what about like not just NESC tracks, but of all tracks you've gone to?
Of
Right,
all
is
tracks
that-
I've gone to,
Or was it limited to?
the Marshfield Ferry doesn't have to walk far. You only got to go like
I
20
do like
feet.
that these days, you know. That is a factor. Like the Southwick Hill, I just
Oh.
hate that hill.
I don't miss walking up that.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a
Luckily,
race in a
I can
while.
usually catch Rick Johnson on the way up the hill
Right.
in the Kawasaki and
Get a ride.
get a ride. That's one good thing about Winchester. It's all flat, so
Yeah.
it's a piece of cake.
The dirt there's nice. Kind
The
of.
dirt's there is
If
nice.
it's fluffy, it can have some nice
Mine,
roost, I guess.
mine, it's got to be a tough one if you don't like walking up and down hills. Then
Yeah.
It is, but you know, it's still a pretty awesome track to shoot at. It's
Right.
got, all the elevation changes are great, and it's got pretty cool jumps.
Right.
So
what's your worst injury?
I guess when I got ran over at Waterboro in 79, 80,
They got physically run right over.
physically ran right over. It was either Scott Dupere or Brian Dupere in the 100 amateur class.
Yeah.
I was shooting inside the first turn. Have you guys ever raced at Waterboro?
No, I think it
No.
closed. I don't know when it closed. 80 was it 80s or 90s?
It was 80s.
Yeah, I know where it is. I drive by it, and everyone's like, "There's where the track was off the side of the road." But
Right.
I've never been.
Yeah. So I was shooting inside the first turn in the middle of a moto.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm inside the turn. If anybody's going to crash, they're going to crash outside.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So I
more
figured
than
I'm
likely,
safe.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm shooting with a wide angle lens, so I'm pretty close. And the kid comes around and he hits a rock.
Oh.
Like the first turn at Waterboro was like covered with rocks. So he bounces and bounces right inside the turn and just boom, knocks me right over. My camera goes flying, my glasses go flying. He crashes. We're both tumbling. Luckily, nothing was broken and nothing really cut up that bad.
Was that the end of the shooting for the day for you, or did you keep going back?
Well,
Did the camera get damaged or anything?
I think I got a scratch on the lens, but nothing bad enough so that it wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And I think Dwayne Schofield's mom, Barbara Schofield, said, "Come on, Paul, you know, you're come with us. Like, we'll put you up in the camper and like you can take it easy for a minute,
Yeah.
or two." Or she didn't say a minute, but you know, she like got me a drink or something and looked after me. So,
Huh.
Yeah.
but then I think I went back out and shot some more.
Wasn't like Mike Treadwell said his parents took him to a race to watch, and he got hit in the head by a rock and knocked out.
At Waterboro.
Yeah, at Waterboro before he ever rode.
Yeah.
I got hit by Brian Swink at the Southwick National once.
Watching?
Yeah, he went through the fence.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, just as a, off behind the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then his fender got stuck kind of on the fence post, kind of went through the fender somehow, from what I
Yeah.
remember. I don't know.
Hmm.
I think that was my first concussion,
This-
too.
he was the bridge down picture at Waterboro popular? There was a bridge.
Yeah. At Waterboro, there was a bridge called the Barber's Bridge, or Barber's Bridge, because it was paid for by Graham Barber's father, Doc Barber,
Yeah.
who wanted basically a bridge as a vantage point to see the whole track.
Oh, wow.
So he paid the guys to build this bridge, which was medium shaky.
Right.
Last time I looked a few years ago on Google Images, you could still see some remains of it.
Oh, wow.
I must have the wrong place where the track is because I've looked and it wasn't there. It was off.
You have to go back in time, or can you look at like a current image?
The current image might not be there because I think I've looked again and it
I
wasn't
thought
there.
it was off right off Route
5,
right on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And it was like a dump too, right? Someone said it used to be a dump or something.
It didn't used to be a dump, but that's kind of why it closed, because the owner let somebody put some building
Junk there.
Which either had some lead pipe in it or lead paint,
type of contaminant.
some kind of contaminant, and the EPA got involved or the town got involved, and
The whole town's probably polluted anyways. What difference does it make?
yeah.
What's your favorite type of photo? Like corners, scrubs, jumps? I don't know.
I would say my favorite is a really great corner photo.
Yeah.
Like when I first started out, there's a shot of Roger DeCoster, I think at Carlsbad, with a Bel Ray banner in the background, and his bars are just like that.
Yeah.
And everything's perfect, typical Roger style, looks perfect. And for the last 43 years, I've been trying to get a photo that good,
Yeah.
and I'm still trying.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean,
Does Bel Ray use that photo?
probably Bel Ray used it. Suzuki probably used it. It's been around a bunch, and if you Google Roger DeCoster berm shots,
That's one of the ones that comes
that's
up.
one of the ones.
One of my favorite photos of yours is Kevin Windham at Budds Creek going through an off-camber turn.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that one.
You'd have to.
I know I've seen it. We should have printed some out, Tim.
we should have. Well, that photo was one of the ones that I sent in to Racer X when Wyndham retired, because Davey said, "Hey, we're going to get all the photographers to send a couple photos of Wyndham in,
Right.
and we'll get the photographer's story on the photo and K-Dub's photo story on the photo."
Oh yeah.
So I sent it in and said, "Yeah, I really like this one. He's dragging the bars, so he's got roost from his clutch lever.
Yeah.
And he's just perfect. Wyndham was probably my favorite national rider to shoot
Right.
of all time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember like at Binghamton, about halfway through like the moto, there'd be a corner, like the rut that would develop going across the first turn, that he'd be dragging his bars through. It was one of my favorite
We
riders.
need to get some corners like that.
Yeah.
Well, what I was getting to is that, so I sent the photo in, and they used it as a double page spread, and they did actually 2 covers that month.
Yeah, double cover.
Yeah. So one shot was Simon Cudby's, of a current Wyndham photo, and the other photo was mine. So when it came time for Wyndham to write what he wanted to say about the photo, he said that was one of his favorite photos of himself.
Wow. Huh.
So
that's pretty cool.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny Stewart wants to know if you've ever tried to do video. It's always been pics, or you never really tried video.
The last time I tried to do video was with a Sony Handycam in 1980.
Oh my God! I'm trying to be the leader, the pioneer.
It had a fixed lens, no zoom, no focus.
No focus.
I had a camcorder.
No, fixed focus. Not.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'll leave the video up to Danny and the guys.
Yeah. What's the wildest after race photo shoot that you can talk about? Is anything ever like you ever been to like a national and they're like, get the camera in here, you gotta come over. So there's definitely been some wild after race photo shoots then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I can mention names, but it was like the 1995 Atlanta Supercross.
Oh, the 90s were wild, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty wild. And it was pretty late. I think I had just like left the press conference, or maybe, I don't know, the pits were like almost empty, except the Yamaha semi was over in the corner.
Right.
And there was a ton of people around the back door. And like, oh, I'll go see who's over there. So I get over there. just in time to see just in time to see a girl pulling her pants back on. And she had traded her panties for a rider's jersey.
Oh.
And you know, he took the jersey off.
Right.
She took her stuff off, and they swapped.
Did he put her stuff on after?
No, no. But another rider, let's see, came over on Team Yamaha and said, "Hey, if I give you my, let's see, my riding pants, can we get your shirt?" And she goes, "Oh, well, if they were his pants, I would trade, but not for yours." And the guy she turned down was, you know, a Supercross champion, an outdoor champion, and he was totally busted that day when she said,
Wow.
"No, I don't want yours." So
I also, this is non-show related, but can I be in the will for your hidden file of photos when you die? Like, just, you'll be dead anyways. It'll be like, just put them on there. Like, this send one copy does all these. These are all the good ones.
I think most of the good ones, the hidden photos were film.
Oh.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd definitely write you in, Dan.
Okay. And I made this question up, but is 2-stroke versus 4-stroke? You know how that is with motocross guys. Is that the same as film? Is there a whole film versus digital in the photo community?
There was.
It was better when it was film. Like
there was. And at first, like the first guy to go digital was Frank Hoppen, and then I think I was next. And there was still a lot of like editors and art directors and advertising guys who were like, "Oh, can you shoot some film at that race?" And I'm like, "No, I can't do it." So there was a pretty big learning curve because there'd be some pretty funky colors as everybody learned how to use Photoshop and do the conversions for the publications. But one race in, I think, 2003, when James Stewart was about to win his first 125 Supercross championship in Dallas.
Yeah.
Fox paid me, Tony Scavo, Garth Milan, and Frank Hoppen each to go to Dallas. So they paid us a day rate. They flew us all in. They put us all up in separate hotel rooms. They paid for our rent-a-car. They paid for our expenses to shoot Bubba.
Just him?
Just Bubba.
Wow.
Winning his first championship. And I think I was the only, well, Frank was shooting digital, I was shooting digital, Garth was shooting film, and Tony was shooting film. They ended up using my shot from a 4-megapixel camera as a 3-page fold-out.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And it looked all right, even though it was...
Oh, it looked awesome.
Huh.
Wow.
We got so many people asking, let's say, Danny Stewart wants to know if you ever chased the whole series and did pictures for like the Nationals, I would assume.
I've never chased the whole series. I've done a bunch, but the way I would make most of my money would be through
like a company paying you, like Fox?
Yeah, like Fox or Answer or Axo. One year, I had like practically like every major photo clothing company. I had Fox, Shift, Answer, Axo, Answer.
Did you shoot those Cinesala ones that had Keith Johnson in it that was in the catalog for like 20 years?
I shot a bunch of stuff for Cinesala because Bob Rathkamp's one of my best moto industry friends.
Huh.
But when you're shooting for clothing companies, they don't really want photos from every race.
Right.
Because once they got photos of their spring line for 1996, they were good.
Yeah.
Plus, there was no websites, so they didn't need photos every week.
Yeah.
So then everybody would say, okay, we'll have you do Anaheim or Los Angeles or Orlando, wherever it was, Gainesville, a few nationals, and then, okay, we're going to have our 1996 intro at this race or this race.
Yeah.
So it never really made sense to do them all. I did a bunch. But
Right.
You got that picture of Ricky Carmichael for the Renthal ad on Racer X, right? Or did you get the cover part of it?
I got
Where they did
the front back cover.
Yeah, the front back cover.
Yeah, I got the back cover of that one
Yeah.
when he's coming over the finish line and both hands raised up.
Yeah. How did you guys time that so you took it at the exact same time, or was it just close?
It was just dumb luck. I don't even know.
So it wasn't planned?
No.
Oh wow.
No.
I know which one you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah.
On
Oh.
the Honda.
I don't even know who the guy is that shot the front cover.
He probably
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
know who you are.
I hope he knows who I am. I mean, I'm pretty famous.
I'm sure you know who he is. You just might not remember which person took it. No.
It wasn't a regular moto guy.
Oh.
I mean, if it was Garth or Frank or Tony Scavo or Fran Kuhn or Guy B or somebody from back then, or I mean even Davey shot a bunch of photos back then.
Yeah.
If it was one of those guys, I'd
You'd remember?
hopefully.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right, this is the next question. It's a missed photo opportunities or bad film. Like, have you ever went somewhere and probably this is more back in the film days, but you go somewhere, you set all up, you go home, and none of the film came out, or like there was some major disaster that happened. You know what I mean? Or even just like a regular weekend of shooting, and you get back and you're like, oh my god, none of this film. It was the wrong film, or
Ever forget all your memory cards?
you know.
I know I did that.
Well, I've never
I don't have
forgotten
that.
the memory cards, and on the digital cameras that I have, I can set them up so that they won't fire without a memory card in them.
Yeah.
But with a film camera, there was no such feature.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I've definitely, loaded up a camera with a roll of 36 and started shooting, and I'll be shooting and shooting and shooting, and then I'm thinking, man, this is a long roll. Like I'm on like frame 42,
Yeah.
and then I'll like go to rewind it, and it takes like 2 cranks and it's rewound.
Right.
So that
Oh.
means only like that far much of the film went through. I was like,
So then you get like
Yeah.
10 images right over the top of each other, kind of, or no?
yeah, pretty much. It just never caught the take
Right.
up reel.
I got some. I just got. You've never raced, right? Someone that was asking if you ever raced.
I've never raced.
Right, and Brian Canoia, of course, he wants. What was the most money you ever paid for one picture, or is that like something that's big secret?
For one picture, well, it was probably for a series of photos. It was Travis Pastrana, X Games,
Oh yeah.
Oh, they did that. You were the one that did the backflip.
the double backflip.
Oh, the double backflip. You
Oh,
were there for that?
Yeah,
I didn't even know you were there.
that it was the most scared I've ever been.
For someone?
No,
Or-
well, yeah, I guess for somebody, but it was the most scared that I've been, thinking that
Oh.
I could see somebody die like right in front of me.
Right.
And be taking pictures of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
these photos aren't going to be worth as much if he doesn't
Oh,
land it.
God.
Right. Luckily, he did.
Yeah.
And I handheld the shot, and I knew it was going to have to be a sequence
Right.
shot.
Yeah.
So I handheld it and then stitched it all together in Photoshop, which was a pretty big project since I kind of had to move.
Right.
Oh,
So I had to
yeah.
rebuild the Staples Center in the background. So I sold that to Thor for an ad for several $1,000s.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was worth stitching it all together.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see, I got any photographers you look up to? Maybe even non-moto related. I don't know who. I don't really know any famous photographers that don't do motocross. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could name a few famous non-moto photographers, but
You've got to be one of the first moto photographers, right? Like,
yeah, I'd say one of the first. There's definitely a few guys that came around before me,
yeah.
but I'd say I've been around the longest, because most of the guys I remember from when I first started don't really shoot anymore. But when I started, I really looked up to Jim Giannatsis, Jimmy the Greek.
yeah,
He worked for Cycle News and Motocross Action and Fox, and printed awesome black and white photos.
Yeah.
Which I really was jealous of because, you know, here I am in the darkroom working on these photos.
Yeah.
So he really inspired me, and Fran Kuhn, who was like a total perfectionist as far as the technical aspect of the photo and the beauty aspect of the photo.
Yeah.
So Fran, my friends Tom Riles and Rick Chenet, who that I was hanging around with in Daytona, would drive around some rent-a-cars and stuff.
Let's see. I got that. Does anyone know what happened to Carl Stone?
Oh yeah, Danny's.
I know he did some photo shoots for non-riders, I've heard, but I'm curious.
Right.
Is that what happened to
Is
him?
he still around, or is that what happened to him?
Every once in a while, I'll see a post that he comments on. So I think he's just gone back to driving trucks.
That's what he used to do, was a truck driver?
Yeah, he would pretty much drive a truck so he could afford to go to the races. And
Oh wow.
And that's so. You've never done it. You've never wanted to do anything else, like, you know, like, oh, I'm going to try shooting this instead of motocross. Like, maybe expand the horizons.
Every once in a while, I'd say, all right, maybe I'll try some hockey or some ski racing or
Demolition Derby at Brockton coming up. You bring that zoom. I'm telling you, you bring the zoom lens and you get the people's heads smacked like this. Somebody
would buy that.
That's the one photo that's hard for anyone to get with a cell phone camera.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
They need to be something that you can get right into the cab with.
Yeah.
Favorite rider to shoot at NESC? Like, probably more than one.
Yeah. Well, let's see. These days, it might be Murdoch. It might be Kyle Murdoch. He's got really cool style. He's pretty much always throwing, you know, some kind of whip.
Like I was saying, Shane O'Connor, like every photo I ever saw of him was like amazing because he was like 90 foot over jumping something. He was always so aggressive. Every photo looked like it was like the pass for the last lap to me. You know what I mean? Or,
right.
Just always something wild. Like, that was one that I always thought.
Yeah, he was pretty fun in kind of an out of control way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New England's Damon Bradshaw type.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's every question I got on the whole list, except for what I was wondering. What is your favorite movie? This is a person. Like, what do you watch movies? Like, do you go home and watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, or do
we
you
watched that like 1,000 times.
Like, I'm just trying to figure out what you're like. What does he watch? Like,
I mean, I love those movies like that. Stripes.
like Caddyshack. all that kind of stuff.
Caddyshack. Both Italian Jobs.
Yeah, I've seen the first one anyways. I haven't seen the second one.
Yeah. I don't know. We're watching the Americans on Amazon right now.
I haven't watched that.
No.
It's like, haven't really watched since I'm working so far from home. I don't really have any TV. You know, Tim won't get internet for the house he's selling, so I can't watch.
I'm selling that.
Well, I'd like to get Wi-Fi there.
Stay
Tim.
there for free.
Well, I got 10.
Hold on. He does do work there.
I do electrical work in the house.
Yeah.
If you really want to admit to him doing electrical work at your house.
I've got over 5. I got 3 or 4 people that are wanting me to stay at their house. So I'm thinking of starting to charge. But so what other hobbies do you have besides photography?
Well, that's kind of a career, not a hobby. But
yeah, but I mean, like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, what other things you do besides taking pictures? You know? Nothing else really. I mean, you don't.
I know. I mean, the weeks are pretty busy.
Yeah.
Because I do like a lot of marketing and a lot of web design and a lot of T-shirt designs during the week, and then I get ready and go to a couple of races on the weekend. So I don't really have any hobbies outside
of too much, really.
Yeah.
So
you know, like
you must really enjoy what you do still, then, right?
I still do. Like every time I go out there, I still want to get really cool photos because I still like it when the riders come over and go, "That's sick."
Yeah.
You know, if I got to a point where the kids come over and go, it's all right.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a sign to hang it up. So I mean, I go to bed on a Friday night, almost like dreaming about where I can shoot at the track the next day.
Yeah.
And just still want to get like that Roger DeCoster photo.
Yep.
Yep. So
That's
So it must be
that's
cool when you go
awesome.
to a new track. Sometimes.
it's cool
Or-
going to a new track, or when an old track puts in a new section,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
kind of opens up a
Right.
new photo opportunity.
Yeah, because it's someone. It's like us, and they put a new jump in. You're like, thank God. I didn't do the same one
You-
for 5
you-
years. That's
you-
why I was hitting that jump at Crow Hill this week, but I haven't seen any. There's 20 people taking pictures of it. I have yet to see a photo of me hitting
Oh,
it.
the downhill
That
jump.
little thing, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You've got to be like close to having the record for the most starts in NESC, like race starts. Does anyone keep track of that?
I don't know. Well, I mean, look how many Jack Camilio's had. He started 15 years before me, probably. So he's
Yeah,
got to
and
get
he-
way
yeah,
ahead of me.
He took some time off.
And Treadwell
He did
does
some
9
J-Day
starts.
stuff, though.
Treadwell does 9
Right.
starts a weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I like. I
But,
got.
but
I think
Clements started in 1952,
I,
so
Dave Clements has wrote
no.
since. Oh, I'm like, you got to be
since,
kidding me! I know
like,
he's
I think
older, but
71 or
But
72.
like you had like so many Ironmen
I
in
had.
a row.
I think I
where
had
you
8 years.
Yeah.
miss.
I went to every race for 8 years. I think in a row.
Wow.
Even if I was hurt, I showed up to watch.
Wow.
But I think I made 8 races in 8 years in a row where I at least rode one moto. Like I might have crashed in the week and said I was done for the day, but I think I went 8 straight years though missing at least
Wow.
one moto. That's got to be some kind of record.
That's a bunch.
I
Yeah.
only
Okay.
went to every race once, like 1 year.
Huh.
When I raced every race 1 year, I
Wow.
think. And it was
Oh.
it was after I broke my foot, so it was
So
with
that's
a
when you
broken
were going
foot.
to watch.
Oh, so that's still
I
pretty
get.
good.
I feel sick if I don't go to the race. Like I stay home and I feel like I'm lost.
Oh yeah, I used
Yeah.
to feel like that,
I was
but
like, I got.
now I'm used to it.
Paul's there shooting. I can't watch him.
You know, like when November comes around, and,
Yeah.
and we have like the season's over, the first 2 weekends are great. It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
then-
you're like, wow, this is what it's like to have Sunday off. You're like,
Yeah.
or, you know.
but then, you know, then I've slept in a couple weekends, and you know, I'm like, yeah, all right, that was all right.
yeah.
But then it's like, man, I could go for some motocross right about now. You know,
So, do you go to any of the arena crosses or anything?
no,
Yeah.
no, it's not the same.
Right.
Yeah. Do you like outdoors better than Supercross? For
I
shooting
like
photos?
outdoors much better, just because Supercross, it seems like the tracks have gotten so similar,
Yeah,
which I
You
guess
can't
is,
get a different photo.
you can't get a different photo.
you can get the same photo at every track almost.
You can,
Yeah.
and I get it. I mean, they have to like truck into a stadium, build the track,
Yeah.
accommodate the 450s, which are crazy too fast for Supercross,
Yeah.
and get out of there and go to the next one.
Yeah.
Whereas at an outdoor, you know, the light's going to change, the track's different, there's hills, there's corners, there's different jumps, so
Yeah.
the photo possibilities outdoors are
You always get the fans in the. Well, I guess you get the bleachers in the background, but
Yeah. It's not as
At a
all,
Supercross.
all
the
my
fans
yeah,
at a
all my
Supercross-
favorite
at an
photos that
outdoor
Paul.
are so
all the-
passionate.
yeah, all the photos I like of his are the best are the ones where there's like a guy, but all the bleachers are in focus. Like I love like there's always like Bull Run and Central
Oh,
Village.
I know
It's
what
like,
you mean.
oh, there's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like I
yeah,
remember that
yeah.
kid. There's his
Yeah.
mom and there's his
Yeah.
dad. Like so many people I totally forget about.
Oh yeah.
It's like I just wish there was a whole Facebook page of bleachers. Like can you just go through every photo you have and just pick out all the
yeah.
bleacher shots?
Someone out there will start one.
Yeah.
Bleachers.
Yeah. I've definitely got a bunch, especially at Bull Run.
Right.
Everybody would come and like
Yeah.
set up where my truck was, or close to my truck, because that's where the bleachers were.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Chris Canning winning every race by 9 minutes out there? He's been going pretty fast.
Chris is on fire. You know, he's worked his butt off, and I definitely give him a lot of credit. I've known Chris since the 50 days, so I hope he kind of rolls this local success into some really good national finishes, which
I hope he can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
As long as it doesn't get to his head. I feel like the speed he's riding, I feel like if the top 10 national guys showed up at the races with, hidden numbers and he didn't know who they were,
Yeah.
I feel like he would definitely beat some of the guys. You know what I mean? Like he'd be,
I think so.
like especially at some of the tracks that he gets really dialed, you know what I mean? That's how I felt about Brooks too, though. Like I remember watching him at Winchester Day. He was so fast. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I feel like if he got the whole shot at a national, he could lead it for like. And there's like 2 or 3 national guys that are just nuts. They don't seem to ever get tired.
Yeah.
They can throw their bike around every lap like it's the first lap of the race. So those might be a little tough. But I definitely.
But Chris is like riding so smooth these days.
Yeah.
And picking such good lines that's really just got to carry over to the nationals. And
the hard part is if he goes there and second guesses his line choice. You know, he's in that line now where he never hears a bike behind him, and now he hears someone wide open next to him, and he's thinking, maybe the inside line's better next lap. He goes to the inside. That's the worst line. That's pretty much my entire race.
Well, does he think like that?
I don't know, because he hasn't had anyone around him. He's literally almost alone every moto. I think the 450 class, there's been guys closer to him than the lights, but I can't see that because I'm in the 450 class. So.
Yeah.
So it might be fun for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know how many people, like when I watch Dowd race at NESC, he'll be, you know, 3rd, 4th, or whatever. The national comes, he's like 5th place, and the guys that won are back, like not even in top 20
it's so
yet.
weird.
I'm like, they just beat him last week, and now he's like near the front. Like the year he got 3rd or 2nd overall in the moto.
Yeah,
his last national, and I'm like
comfortable there when everyone else is not. Like
that was a really fun national too.
Right.
Because I had almost left early that day because it was pouring rain.
Yeah.
I'm totally soaked. Camera's like dripping. I'm like, I guess I'll just go. And I never ever leave early. I'm at a national or a local race. I mean, you know how late I stay.
Right, you're always the last guy there.
The last guy to stay. Rick Marshall was like, come on, Buckley, get out of here so I can lock the gate practice. It was that late. So at that Southwick National, I'm like, I'll just call it a day.
Yeah.
And then Chad Reed crashes, and he's kind of dinged up and out of it. And all of a sudden, Dowd's like in 2nd or something in contention to win the national.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the crowd all of a sudden goes nuts, and now it's like one of the most fun half a moto that I've been to.
Right.
So,
I remember it was Gorky. Was that the one who won?
Yeah.
Gorky.
He didn't even like ride at all. Like it was like someone said
he was
like
a fill-in, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dowd said that. I remember Dowd was in 2nd. He was catching him a little bit, and then he kind of backed off. And then then Dowd was like, he's like, I totally forgot that I was getting Cowie bucks for that race. And he's it's $50,000 contingency
to win.
Yeah. And was it 20 or 30 for 2nd?
I don't know. It might have been like 25.
Yeah, whatever it was like either $25,000 or $30,000 for him to move up one spot in contingency money. Yeah. He's like, I kind of forgot that point when I was out there. He's like, I'm in 2nd.
Wow.
I was pretty happy with my results. I wanted to stay there. He's like, but if I had remembered that I was going to get like 20 grand for passing one guy, he's like, I probably could have dug deep enough to catch him. Because I remember there was a point when he started reeling him in. And I'm like, he's going to win the race.
Right.
And then he kind of backed off of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah. So here's a good race bonus story. It was X Games. I can't remember what year it was. Doug Henry was doing the Supermoto.
Yeah.
I think on the Troy Lee Honda. It was the one he wins. Maybe he was riding Yamaha.
Yeah.
So it was $50,000 to win the gold medal in the Supermoto.
Yeah.
So Doug wins. He wins the gold medal. He gets the 50 grand. He's feeling great. So he gives his crew like a share of the 50,000.
Right.
And doesn't keep anything for himself. It's like, here's like 12.5 for you. He split it up, like gave everybody a chunk.
Wow.
So everything was good until he found out that it was taxable income.
Oh.
So he like kept, the 12 or whatever grand he needed to pay the taxes on and split up
so it cost him
another 12, 15.
How does that work though? Doesn't that like you didn't really get it. You gave it away. It's like a donate. Like, couldn't you consider
you still earned it? Yeah. If you give me your paycheck every week, you're still gonna have to pay taxes.
But those people should have paid taxes on it then too. Was it a gift?
Yeah, I don't know how
That's like when you were telling me that Ricky Carmichael gave his win bonus away every week.
Yeah.
So they called last season at Honda. I never knew that.
Yeah, he gave away whatever the bonus was to each employee of the Honda.
Wow.
It worked out to be $365, and they were calling him Mr. 365.
So every week that he won the national, they'd get an extra $365 in the paycheck. Everyone in the entire was $100,000 win bonus, right?
Yeah.
So it had to be what couple. I can't have it. There's a lot of people that work there.
A lot of people. A lot of very happy people.
A lot of people. So I mean, they must have been like, I hope he wins this week. And that's a pretty good add to your paycheck, especially if you're one of the lower tiered employees.
Right.
Like it's almost like
maybe
if you're the head guy making like $5,000 a week, it's not or whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you're the guy in the back cleaning the bathroom that's making $300 a week, you're like, man, I hope Carmichael wins my paycheck's doubling this week.
Double this pay.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, I just show up for an hour and put new tissue paper, and I'm still getting $365.
Thank you, Ricky.
Yeah. And he had a perfect season that year too, I think.
Wow.
In 04, right?
Man, that's when you're like, man, why can only 10 people work here?
Imagine that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll be at the Southwick National, I assume.
I'm definitely going to Southwick National. I've been to every one since 1976.
You've never missed one?
Never missed one.
Oh.
They stopped doing them twice. Once in the early 80s, Bernie Ellen just didn't want to deal with it. And then
in 2013, or was it? Was there somewhere?
2013, the track closed down, so they didn't do it. And I would have bet my house
that they weren't ever going to have one again?
They would never come back. I talked to Davey Coombs afterwards, and he said, there's no way we're giving a national back to the Legion Post after what they did to Ralph and Diane.
Yeah.
And then one day, Nick McCabe from MX Sports calls me, says, "Hey, do you have Keith Johnson's phone number?" I'm like, "Yeah. What do you want to talk to Keith about? You guys want to come ride at Southwick?" He's like, "Do you think he might want a national?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." So sure enough, they put the deal together, and the national's back.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I've asked you before about it before, but when you go for the national and you go there to shoot, if you go to Glen Helen or you go to Washougal or you go to another track, you're just another guy. But when you go to Southwick, does everyone look at you like there's the photographer? Like they look like when you walk over, do they get out of your spot? Other photographer, like, oh, Paul Buckley.
They better.
Over. Do you have a whole different feeling? Like you can go anywhere you want on that track. You don't care where you stand. It's like nothing's off limits for me to shoot here. If I want to stand in the gravity cavity in the middle of the moto, like no one's going to tell me to move. Like in a Supercross.
You mean like Moses parting the Red Sea?
Yeah.
I'm going to try standing in the middle of the start hill and see if Tomac and Muscan go on either side.
Yeah, like that's
like the 450 moto.
Yeah, right.
You have to get that vibe when you're there. Like when you show up at that race, that it's your race, and it's like, and everyone's waving to you. Oh, hey, how's it going?
It's really cool.
Right.
I mean, there's so many people there. And I don't know, it's so flattering that so many people will yell, "Hey, Buckley," or "Hey, Paul," or something.
Yeah. And there must be people that you haven't seen in years every so often, right? Or
it is.
See once a year.
Yeah.
Do you ever see someone you don't know who it is? You're like, I'll take a picture of them. I'll look at it later. Maybe I'll figure out what the hell this is.
Every once in a while, of course. I mean, if somebody who raced as a kid in 1988.
Oh yeah.
And now he's 40 something, and he's grown up a little.
Right.
He might look a little different, but
I don't know how you can remember everyone. You must have like the world's best memory.
I don't know how either. If I knew the secret to that,
you'd be a millionaire.
I'd be a millionaire.
If you're not already.
I'm pretty close, but not. But that's, I think, knowing everybody and remembering everybody's name
helps.
Almost helped me as much as my photographic skills.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a cool feeling when I would go and ask you, and my name like almost right away.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know anyone's name unless they're in the expert. Like I'm like,
I can't remember.
I'm like, I know this guy, and I'm like, or I can tell someone. Someone can ride. Like there was a picture of Shane O'Connor in a magazine. It was his elbow. It was this much of his elbow, and I saw the elbow. I'm like, that's Shane O'Connor. Like, not just the position the elbow was in.
Oh, yeah.
Like certain guys, I could see any part of their bike. I could see their finger. I'm like, I know who that is. But yet, I could see them with their helmet off. I'm like, I fucking know who this guy is. Like, geez, I know him. Like I remember everyone I see, but sometimes I can't put the face to the name. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be like,
and can you like look at a photo and say, okay, that's Bull Run, or that's
Yeah,
Middleborough
sometimes.
or Centralville.
Yeah, I look
Yeah.
at grass, texture, tires, what kind of trees I know are there.
Yeah.
The yellow tires are always a giveaway for Southwick, but I think
Oh,
other
right,
tracks
yeah.
have used yellow tires too, so that's always not. Southwick's pretty easy; it's got sand, but
Right.
Yeah.
there's
Southwick was the buried truck tires.
right.
They
Yeah,
never used
I
like
hit one of those once.
the stock car tires
Right.
that Winchester would have. So
Yeah.
Oh, I'm always like, what track? What? Then I always get I'll see a photo posted of a track, and I'm like, where is this? Like that section is not on. I'll go for days trying to think of where that is in the track and never
Oh,
come up with an answer.
Hmm.
So normally it's something that someone posts that you've taken, and I'll be looking.
oh
like,
yeah.
they'll have the name. I'm like, that's not like Waterboro. That's not this track. You know?
Right. Like on Jimmy Boshin's page, the old men that used to race.
Right.
Oh yeah.
All the old photos that are coming up on that page are so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Paul,
one of the
you're
first things I do when I
Look at
get
that
here.
page.
Yeah, pull the page up and
Yeah.
see if there's any new pictures on there. I'm always hoping some picture that, like, of someone that I was close to or something will show up on there.
Oh right.
A picture that I got lost and
I like any of that in the
or
background. It's like you can see like half the fender sticking out.
Yeah,
I am.
I'd be excited to see see my visor
Oh,
sticking out, my feet sticking up in the air. One of the many times I crashed or something.
And the other photos that I like a lot are the ones that all the New England fans and riders have shot from behind the fence at old nationals and stuff.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we've never seen them before because it was back in the day before
You can
before
share it
Facebook.
online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So now they're all digging them out and scanning them, or
That's a good idea.
snapping photos of them.
Yeah.
It's just some really cool stuff.
That's how Tim
Yeah.
takes all his photos from behind the fence because he's like, I can't. This is a different perspective than most photographers.
I do kind of like it. I don't know. I'd be afraid of getting run over. Like I
Out
can't.
there?
I can't move that fast
Oh.
anymore. I don't know. Now that my
Well.
foot's not as bad, I'm not as scared. But
Yeah.
like, it was the whole time I ever took pictures. It's been messed up.
Dead
so
foot.
so like I don't know. I was
Yeah.
always nervous about.
Well, you always want to stand where there are no knobby tracks.
Yeah,
That's not a guarantee,
That's an
but,
easy one, but
you know.
yeah. I like having the fence in between me and the rider. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's-
I like the flaggers that are like, I'll see the guy flagging, and I'm like, I've seen over 300 bikes land exactly where this guy's standing flagging, and he's there all day. Like he's got his phone out or a flag, and they're like, what the handlebars are like one
Yeah.
that always reminds me is the tabletop right near the start at Jolly that everyone seems to always be one guy endos every week and gets knocked out. Like the
Yeah.
flagger is right where it's the outside
yeah.
of the tabletop where you want to get thrown to. And every time I almost crash off it, I'm going towards the flagger. And I'm like that flagger should stand on the other side of the jump because I've never seen anyone fall on the left-hand side of that jump. But
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
falls on the right hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite picture that Paul got of you, Danny?
God, I have to go through all of them. I got a big stack somewhere.
I'm jealous.
I got some that are I got one from South Berwick, Maine, but I don't know who took it. Did you take NEMA photos back then?
No. And when did South Berwick close?
I don't know, but I'm on an 80. It was the year I had the number one.
The gold plate,
maybe?
the gold.
I'm hitting a
Yeah.
jump, and all you can see is me, and it's all fall cut, like the fall foliage, so it looks kind of cool. And everything's
Oh,
hot
wow.
pink, fluorescent, yellow, green.
Okay.
But I don't even remember who took photos at NEMA
Wow.
back then. Like I couldn't tell you who was even there.
Wow.
And maybe did Pierre take? That's the only other guy I ever remember taking photos.
Pierre definitely shot some NEMA photos.
And it's blown up, so someone blew it up. I have a BMX photo. I'm doing like a trick, and it's black and white. That's how old it is, you know.
Yeah.
But that guy went to jail for taking photos he wasn't supposed to.
Oh my
I think that was common. I think that was common back then in the early
Wow.
'70s, you know, because there weren't many cameras around. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
I thought it was interesting when you said that they called you up for the. It's almost like you're the New England motocross representative that doesn't actually ride, though. Like,
The
you know
New
what I mean?
England.
It's like we'll call Paul Buckley up. Like he just takes pictures, but somehow he'll get the national.
When-
Like if they want to put a national on.
when Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
he just figured
it's
I
like-
knew everybody. So,
So everyone calls you. It's like
Yeah.
we're gonna get
The
a
New England
we
Moto
wanna- yeah.
Yellow Pages.
Yeah, it's like we want to have a new national in New Hampshire. Let's call Paul Buckley. We'll get this how it works.
Yeah.
So are you on the payroll for any other kind of spokesperson, representative? You work for Fox or what I mean, is there anything like that? Maybe you can't say.
Well, I
No, I mean I don't know. But
Government photos.
Yeah.
I actually have a pretty big T-shirt business.
I heard about that.
So I'm like,
Did you make that one?
I did not make this one. But I'm kind of have a little insider deal with the company called Teespring.
Yeah.
So.
And you just make any kind of T-shirt.
Any kind.
So it's not always motocross related.
Right. I mean, it's everything from motocross to grandmother to American flag to snowmobiles to
a T-shirt millionaire. That's where the money is. Huh. You don't even sell. Do you ever sell shirts? Oh, you sell shirts at the track, right? Sometimes.
I haven't for a long time.
Oh, speaking of things, what about motorsports? When's the next issue coming out? I subscribe.
I'm still looking forward to it.
You said I was going to get one a month.
I think I might have subscribed too.
When's the last issue that came out?
2010. I started it in '79. When I first started shooting, there was a magazine called Cycle Sport, put out by Bob Hicks, who was one of the guys that founded the NESC back in 1958.
Oh, wow.
So I shot for him from 75 until 78, when he sold it to a guy who ran it with his wife and ran out of money and just closed it and went on to work in computers or something. And all the riders and tracks said, "Hey, Paul, we still need a magazine.
Yeah.
You've got all the photos. We know you know how to design stuff. Why don't you do a magazine?" So I sold my 175 Yamaha, the CT1, and I had a 250 Elsinore. I sold those two bikes to pay for the first print run.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get anybody to pay for ads up front.
Yeah.
So I sold my dirt bikes, put out the magazine, and back then the ads from the dealers pretty much paid for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And that worked pretty much until like 2006 when the recession hit.
Yeah.
And all the dealers were like, we barely have enough money to pay our staff. We can't really afford to advertise.
Yeah.
So I stopped it for a year or two. But then everybody said, "Paul, where's motorsports? We really miss it."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, nobody can pay for it. And they said, "Well, we'll pay for it. We'll buy them."
Right.
Yeah.
Like, all right. So I said, "Okay, if I put a cover price on it, will you guys buy it every month?" And everybody asked, "Oh yeah, we'll buy it. We'll buy it. We'll subscribe. We'll buy it."
Yeah.
So I said, "All right." So I put out some pretty nice ones, a lot of pages, all color.
Yeah.
And I put them out at my truck at the races, and people would come over and go,
they'd look through it and then not
flip
buy
through it and go, my kid's not in it. I'll wait until the next one. Like, are you kidding?
There won't be a next one if you don't buy this one.
Right. And they knew everybody in that magazine because it was all New England.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody knew, Scotty Carter, Tony LaRusso, Danny, Tim, Jeff Bryant.
You can't get everyone from the entire organization in every magazine.
So that's
right.
Just take one picture of everyone and put it like in a collage. I'm right there.
Then they'd be like
but then, guys,
yearbook.
I remember putting this one kid in there, and it was just maybe a 2x3 photo, not so big.
Yeah.
His dad looks at it and goes, "That's such a small photo. We'll wait. Get something big in there."
I was excited when it was a little one of me in there, but I was still super excited.
I would have been excited.
Now, did the magazine ever pull in big cash amounts, or was it just like a break-even thing normally?
It was mostly a break-even thing. There was a few years when it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Those Decal Works ads that were like an entire catalog in there, those must have been decent.
Right. Those were pretty good because Ron Joint was a huge supporter.
Right.
And he would just ship us the catalogs.
Oh, so you just
staple
them in.
Yeah.
Those guys were great. I kind of wore the shirt because Mechanics wear. But Jim Hale was a huge supporter. He would, he was behind Axos and Asilo and Mechanics wear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just passed away a couple weeks ago.
I know, it's so weird. He was only 62, right?
Yeah, went in for back surgery and something. But he was a huge supporter of mine and motorsports. So.
Yeah, I've listened to some of the podcasts with him, and I always found what he had to say interesting.
Yeah. he was definitely a really smart guy when it came to marketing motocross stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when we were out in California getting ready for, I don't know if it was the first national or first Supercross, and he got the first prototype of the mechanics wear gloves in the office. And I thought, oh, yeah, that'll be a cool little addition to AXO.
Right.
Little did I know it was going to be the crazy bigger company.
It's way bigger than AXO ever was, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they still so people used to wear them. BMX people would always wear them.
Yeah.
For a while, that was like a big glove to wear.
They sell them like everywhere still.
Right.
I think the last podcast I heard with him, he was talking about that, about mechanics wear and how big it's got.
That's like most people. It seems like they start a company and they have some side thing that ends up becoming 5 times bigger than. You know what I mean? It's like that's the real money maker, and they didn't even.
Still looking for my side thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess this used to be my side thing.
Has he ever had? Has he ever had wasabi?
Who asked that?
Sean Buckley. Why is this something new that you just had?
No. All right. I tell this story a bunch every time we go to a Chinese restaurant with somebody. So Dave Clements and I flew out to California to go to the first Supercross and shoot a bunch of stuff for Bob Rathkamp at Garnet in Sinisilo.
Yeah.
So, we shot the race, and then
What year was this in?
96.
right around there, 96,
I just
97. It was Honda of Troy. Ron Carter was on the team, Mike Craig. I think Eric Kehoe was still maybe riding.
Yeah.
But maybe being team manager. So, we finish up shooting, and Bob's like, oh, let's go out to this Chinese restaurant and grab some stuff before you guys fly out tomorrow. It's like, all right, cool. So we get some spare ribs or something for an appetizer.
Yeah.
And there's a bowl of wasabi mustard there. So I like dip in a spare rib and take like a big bite covered with wasabi.
Yeah.
And I could feel my sinuses just like open up from the mustard.
Right.
Like, wow, that stuff was strong. But then I could feel blood pouring all down my face. It just like gave me the worst bloody nose that I've ever had. There was like a murder scene. So I'm holding a napkin, and they're like, what's the matter? What's the matter? I'm like, I got a little bloody nose, and the thing was just gushing out. I had to have Bob drive me back to his house so I could like put my head down and
recover,
or try to get it to stop. It just wouldn't stop at the restaurant.
Have you had it since?
Wasabi?
Yeah.
No.
What about the nosebleeds? No nosebleeds?
I've had a couple since then, but nothing like that.
Jeez.
And even the next day, we had to fly out at like 6 a.m.
They had to fly at low altitude, so
practically because my nose is still all.
Can you keep the plane just below 5,000 feet and put the cabin pressure
Clemens,
up?
can we take the bus? So thanks, Sean.
So you have 2 sons, is it?
I have 2 sons.
I never get to see them. Do they ever go to the races? I think they've been once, maybe.
They've been a few times.
I know I've seen them, and your wife.
My wife Jeannie.
She's came a few times to the races. Right?
Yeah.
But it feels like we only see you. You know what I mean? It's like.
Yeah, the guys are 20 and 23, so they work and go to school, and
they're that old.
Do they have any interest in the photography or the other stuff that you do? Are they gonna take over the family biz? Is it gonna be a family biz? I guess.
It probably won't be a family biz.
Take over BuckleyT-shirts.com.
Maybe the T-shirt stuff. They do some design stuff every once in a while.
Oh, that must be cool.
Yeah.
Were you like? Did they ever want to race? You're like, no. I've seen too many people get hurt. Like, don't just play something else.
No, they never asked to race. And it would have been a pretty tough day for me.
Right.
To try to get them down to the line, get photos done, and take care of their bikes or whatever. So
I just think if it was like my dad was going to some event every weekend where it was like that, I'd be like, I gotta go with him. Like, I gotta see what's going on. You know what I mean? I'd be so interested in going.
Yeah.
That I can't imagine like not wanting to go.
But it's like your dad going to work.
Yeah, but I mean, he works hammer and nails. I mean, if he did something cool, you know, if he was a
Yeah.
if my dad was a Playboy photo shoot, you know, guy, I'd be like, yeah, I'd like to come.
I'd be going to work with
Yeah.
your dad.
Yeah, like I'd like to come and see what's going on.
Does Dan have a secret life we don't know about?
No.
Are you sure?
But like, I don't know. It just seems like the kind of event that it's not a normal work. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's like he could hang out with you
Right.
all day. It's not like he's really. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like we would used to rent a camper to go to the Winchester Regional.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
bring
yeah.
them, and they would work and sell photos and work in the camper making photos.
right.
Yeah.
They like that.
I'm still working on that fan for your printer, so don't think I have forgotten. He's got. If anyone's seen his printer, it's like in this enclosed case. But I want to put
Oh,
a
yeah.
fan with a filter, so it's always blowing filtered air in.
Yeah.
So it's what do they call that, Tim? Positive pressure.
Oh yeah.
That way, no dust ever. Even
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
always forcing the air out, so no dust ever goes in.
Right.
Yeah.
This might make his photo. This is gonna be my new invention. the Pep Buckley photo filter thing. That's what it's
Filter
called.
booth.
That's what
That's a
I.
catchy name.
Yeah, well, when I start making my own mufflers without packing, that'll be my next thing. The Pipoon.
The Pipoon.
Yeah, I want to make a muffler that either has no packing or you can change the packing without taking it off the bike.
Yeah.
That's my real. I was thinking of having the
That's
side.
the criteria.
The side having hinges of the muffler, so the whole side flips open. You can
Yeah.
repack it and then close it because like you
Oh,
wrap the
yeah.
packing
Oh,
around
yeah.
your muffler and then you got to try to slide it in and it gets caught on everything and half the packing gets yanked up.
It
Yeah.
should be like a canister you could take out, wrap it in.
Or even if it was like
put
if
back
it
in.
came
I
in
bet
two
there's
pieces.
someone working on the 2-piece thing already.
Yeah,
Like Danny and I were like brainstorming an engine one time,
Yeah.
and then the Cannondale came out,
Yeah.
and it was exactly what we were talking
intake
about.
on the front because it's up like we'll put the intake in
Yeah.
the front and the
Yeah.
muffler's going out the back because that's where it goes anyways.
And the Cannondale comes out like.
And look at how good it
Yeah.
did. Did you ever do any photo shoots for Cannondale?
No.
Oh, I figured you would have head down to wherever it was, Pennsylvania.
It was Connecticut, right?
No, I
was
thought it was Pennsylvania was their headquarters.
Yeah, I think Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because I remember
Yeah.
Keith
Oh,
having to fly
yeah.
back.
The
Yeah.
hometown race at High Point, right?
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, I think, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that. I remember when I was in Florida, he would always be calling there, this laptop, and he'd be sending. I don't know what he did, but I know he went to Pennsylvania a couple times. So
That bike way ahead of its time.
Heath Francois just bought one.
Really?
Wow.
What are they going for these days?
I don't know. I know he drove all the way to Michigan to buy a van and didn't buy it. So at least he didn't go all the way to He went to Pennsylvania, I think, to buy the Husky,
The Cannondale.
the
Cannondale?
Cannondale. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you get any pictures of Jack this week on his Husky?
Husky Jack?
Jack KTM King, even though he doesn't ride a KTM.
Yeah, I think I probably did get Husky photos at Crow Hill.
Heath Francois, who wants to buy a Cannondale, he writes.
My wife has a Cannondale.
But bicycle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Do they still make them? I know it's a different company now
think
because they
so.
went bankrupt.
I think
But
so.
The bike made him bankrupt, didn't it?
yeah,
That was a
Yeah.
good idea.
Also, somebody bought the name and
I believe so. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. If they didn't try and reinvent the wheel, maybe they could have.
right.
They tried doing everything all at once.
Yeah, everything.
Like the
different.
electric dirt bike that I need to get on the design board. First of all, they're making the whole dirt bike based on a gas engine. Like the whole layout could be
I
changed.
don't
I
think
feel like the
they
whole layout
are
could be
because
changed.
like
I
they
feel like
don't
that-
have the transmission.
Yeah, but I feel like the whole layout of the bike is wrong. Like 20
Where
years
else
from
would you put the motor?
20 years from now, they're gonna come up with a whole different. There'll be a whole new layout for that bike. It won't look anything. It'll be different.
Well, they want
The whole bike's based around a gas engine now,
If
and they
they-
just kept that.
if they made it too different, no one would want it.
Right, I know, but I'm just
You
saying,
know,
like,
they-
20
you
years from
gotta
now, you're gonna
start
look back and be
somewhere.
like, "That's so weird." Like, I feel like it's gonna be a complete. The motor will be somewhere completely different, and
Where else could
I-
you put
I
it in the
don't know.
wheels?
I don't
Without-
know.
Then you'd have like a crazy
I just
amount
feel
of
like it's
unsprung
gonna be
weight.
completely different. The whole shape of the chassis is gonna be different.
Yeah, but if they make the electric motors really light,
Yeah, put
Then
them
you
in
could
like
put 'em in a
the
hub.
hub. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
True.
Hmm.
Mhm.
and by then they'll have really light batteries,
yeah.
and you'll have your 197-pound electric.
Yeah. If anyone wants to send me an electric bike, I'd be happy to take one and give me.
What's your number?
Yeah. I just want this. I want the Alta, but I want you to send it to me with
With half of a battery.
a plug. Nothing else. It's just a plug for the battery. I don't want any computer to
Is
know.
there even a plug?
No, there's got to be something that tells it that the battery is plugged in. I want this thing to accept any battery I give it.
Any
So I
battery.
can make my own battery and put it in the Alta. None of this hocus
And
pocus.
you're going to make it from Hobby King batteries
I
that you're going to
will
electrical tape together.
I will guarantee you my Hobby King batteries, electrical tape together, will. Well, I don't know if I'll win the 30 plus, but I'll get second anyways. I will definitely get second
And how's that an improvement over your gas
because I can. You just don't worry. I just need. I'm thinking of going for the test day though.
It would be way heavier, I bet, if you made it out of all RC car batteries, taping them together.
What did I
That'd be
say?
heavier.
I figured. Don't worry. It's gonna happen.
Okay, I'm not worried.
Stephen Ellis is gonna send me a Razor bike, one of those little Razor ones, you know.
We have one of those.
Yeah,
Get one of the Zeros. They're like,
a mountain bike bicycle.
yeah.
They're still too expensive though.
Hey, Billy
How much are
Ainsworth's
those?
watching.
Are they?
14 grand.
Wow, they're more than the
What?
They're about that. I saw
oh my
one.
God. Wow,
it wasn't a Zero, but it was.
the Alta came down to I think 10 for one of them.
Huh?
They dropped it by $4,000.
That's still a ton.
Yeah, but the
If they can guarantee
the Roxon Edition Honda, I think is 10 or 12, and
Yeah, but that you can do a whole moto at Southwick.
yeah.
I
Well, I think you can do a whole moto at Southwick on the Alta.
bet you could do a 20
You
minute
can
moto.
do one moto. You can't do.
yeah,
You can't do two.
You have enough time
Yeah.
to charge the bike though between motos if you only do one class. Like the vet class, that's fine. I'm only gonna do 6 laps and I got like 5 hours between motos, so I can definitely. I'm not worried at all. But if the electric motor is if it does what it's promised, you have no oil to change, like no
Yeah.
dirt really gets inside of it. That thing should last 5
So
seasons.
why
for
don't you
crying
just
out loud.
take the engine out of your Suzuki?
I want to get a
And buy the
125.
Buy the Alta motor and controller.
Or buy just like a big industrial motor
Yeah.
with a speed controller.
That's all I
Get
want
a
to do.
chunk of a battery out of a Tesla.
I want to get an RM125 and just put the electric motor on that. Keep the gears, keep the clutch, keep everything.
That would make it so much more complicated.
No, it wouldn't. It would just
It'd be just like
it
a
would-
gas bike.
It would be so much better. I had the electric
So what would you
scooter
do?
I
Like
built.
you could take the cylinder off and run a chain from the electric motor to the crank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then run it through the
and that would be.
tranny.
That's how I built that electric scooter. It had 3 speeds. It was the greatest thing it ever had. Was those 3 speeds. That made the scooter 100 times better.
Yeah, but that was an electric scooter with a battery.
Because
Like
every time that you're under a really bad load, the motor's drawing tons of current. You know what I mean? So if you're like in a
Yeah.
muddy uphill and that thing's just screaming,
Hmm.
even though it's got tons of power, it's still the slower the motor turns, the more time that the connections are being made, the more power gets drawn. You know what I mean? It's like when they're spinning
Yeah.
fast, they normally use less power than when they're spinning slow. So if you
Yeah.
can keep it spinning fast all the time.
Well, I know those have so much torque, they have to tone it down because
Right.
you couldn't just.
Well, just trust me. When I get the geared dirt bike, you'll see.
Then it would be even more expensive because then you'd have with the Alta. They say you break even at 200 hours with the or
200
that's when
hours.
it
I've
was-
never gotten more than 50 out of my dirt bike.
Exactly. Well, they were saying you break even at 200 hours with the lack of maintenance, and that was when it was $14,000.
Well, I feel like you break.
versus a
I
8
feel
or
like you would break even
9,000.
about 15 hours with how much maintenance it seems like the bikes cost now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, we've been on how long now? It's 1 hour and 21 minutes.
Yeah, we should probably end the show before
the
the show
camera
ends
dies. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a bunch
How
of
long is the battery good for?
sometimes 2 hours, sometimes an hour.
We have this. I don't know if I can get this on this. We have this
Yeah.
giant board here.
I know I have a
thousands of dollars in microphones, but we just haven't got that cord for the Canon yet.
Millions in darkroom equipment.
Not really
Yeah.
equipment yet. And
Yeah.
that
Guys paid no expense.
and I'd like to thank
Emily.
I'd like to thank Emily for standing still for so long back there.
Yes, you might think she's a mannequin or
Yeah, no, she's just waiting for the.
she's a dedicated employee.
I don't know
Yeah.
anything about darkrooms, but she's waiting for it to develop,
Yeah.
and she's been waiting a terribly long time.
Yep.
So
Well,
Well,
thank you
This
for
has been fun.
yeah,
It's
I
great
shouldn't have
having
waited
you.
so long.
yeah.
No.
Well, I just couldn't believe you never came here to see the shop all this time. Like I figured you'd be like, I need a sticker. I'll go to Tim's real quick.
It's right down the street.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could.
Next time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you want a giant photo like this, and
Yeah.
I
I
can
love my giant photos.
right.
Yeah.
I have one
Thanks
just
for
like
tuning in, everybody.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah.